Hello, everybody. Today I'm going to speak with you about the follow the White Rabbit from Fed to Innovation. I am Ronald Chenu Abente, and I work at the University of Trento as part of the WeNet project. Let's get started. So what we're going to speak in this talk, we're going to share some interesting results and possibilities that we have happening at the University of Trento, and beyond that, we're also going to discuss how we got here. What is the path of the projects, of the research, of the innovations that got us to the point we are now, and we are going to discuss that. So let's start by who we are. We are, of course, the University of Trento, but within it, we think that the University of Trento, we are the group that we have self-called ourselves Node. We work on machine learning, we work on AI, knowledge representation, natural language, a fair amount of different topics, but our main joining factor is diversity, and this is why the reason we have chosen this little platypus as the main logo of our group, because he is the only mammal that has that lay eggs, that has poison, has a beak. It's a very diverse, very funny animal. And our focus on diversity has led us to our first major step in that direction, which was the Smart Society project. The Smart Society was a project that lasted 4 years, and we have these partners. It was basically about the social technical society. We proposed to try the ever more complicated, more technical society. We aimed to design this hybrid diversity-aware collective adaptive system to solve the special kind of problems that can only arise in this very complex society. We were mainly interested in the compositionality, humans and machines working together, the diversity. Of course, there are a lot of different humans, and sometimes this diversity, which is different factors that differentiate from each other, it's a plus in the sense that I can get somebody that doesn't know something that I do, and they will help me solve this problem. Or it's a minus, because that person is so different to me that I actually can't communicate effectively with it. So we want to manage this. And the co-design ICT society should be designed and considering the ethical and societal norms. And this is a particular issue that we focused in Smart Society, and we're going to get back to that later. So instead of speaking up very abstractly, I'm going to give you a quick example of what we meant in this project. So we have a simple task that a person needs to do, probably as part of their everyday life. It's arrive to the hospital at 9 p.m. So for this, we know that needs to wake up at certain time, prepare for going out, and go to the hospital, reach the hospital, and do whatever you need to do there. So we want to help this happen. We want to make one of these systems, hybrid systems, that will actually help these perform more effectively using diversity and using all the different interactions between machine and humans to get there. So for this person alone, that is the person that needs to get to the hospital, we have several micro tasks as part of the bigger task, like for example, the alarm clock needs to sound, or somebody, a room for waking up, maybe a roommate can wake us up, eat breakfast, get dressed, leave the house. There are several options. These are alternatives, not necessarily you go through all of them. Maybe you go through a cab, you go by using a cab, maybe you go through bus. You arrive to the hospital and meet the doctor, which is basically the whole thing. But to keep track and to be able to suggest each of these steps, we also use sensors to inform this whole process and to get information of the progress in this direction. See, things get a little more complicated when we start involving more people. For example, we have a cab driver, we have the actual doctor that she needs to meet. So we have in red the path that we selected from the previous slide, but each of these actors also have their own tasks, like waking up, having breakfast, all this sort of thing. The cab driver eventually needs to work together with the person going to the hospital, because they are going to the cab driver is going to drive her to the hospital. And then eventually the doctor also needs to arrive. So getting all of these people using their technology, but also working together to solve problems that they have was the main objective of the systems that we propose in this project. And of course, this scales to the whole city, to a whole group, to a whole university, and it gets very complex when this happens. So, what were the main achievements? We had the computer humanism paradigm, which is actually, when working on all these problems, we reach this sort of paradigm of where we think this sort of thing will lead in the future. We also have a social charter, like I explained before, having all the ethical and legal considerations, because to manage diversity, to see how each person is different and use this for something, you need to capture a lot of personal data. And we're going to get back to that, but this was more or less around the time the GDPR, the General Protection Data legislation, was going up. Also, we made a toolkit with some code that we used to generate systems and to make easier to code systems, like we were speaking an example. And we also push some science and disciplines forward with papers, with results, with data sets, with all. This was the main results of the Smart Society project. We searched 75 papers, and there were also some innovations related to that. So now we step forward to a next step that got us here, from Smart Society to WhiteRabbit. Towards the end of the project, naturally we started thinking about how to innovate with some of the results. And I say this as a Nodai group at the University of Trento, were mainly working on this, capturing the diversity of people. And we noticed that you needed a lot of sensitive and personal data to do so. And as I explained before, GDPR, the data protection legislation was coming up. So fortunately, we have a partner among the group that was was actually one of the consultants for this law. So we considered from the start of the project, even before we had the GDPR, we considered privacy by design, privacy policies, anonymization, among others. So we took a section of this work of representing personal data, sensitive data, while taking into consideration all these privacy constraints. And this led us forward to an innovation side trip that we called WhiteRabbit project. So this was a small 16-month innovation action that started in 2016 and finished in 2017, part of the Launchpad Innovation Project. This was small seed financing that allowed us, I'm getting ahead of myself, but this was a consortium of two partners, Meta helping with innovation, and of course us that provided technology. The main problem that we wanted to solve here was that, of course, before GDPR, the use of personal data was very unregulated, and even after, I would say, in most of the cases. So this also impacts not only the service providers that need to get behind the regulations, run behind them, but also the users, that if you know that your data is being used in a way that you are not agreed, that you are not comfortable with, you will have less trust in giving your data away. So, and our more or less catchy theory was that, and still I think we're going towards that, it's that personal data will be regulated as we regulate money right now. So, in that sense, okay, the GDPR at glance, this is basically some of the things that we tackle directly with this software. Data control, right to be forgotten, a dashboard to manage your data, notifications, privacy by default. So this is more or less what we were taking as a main requirement. And we wanted to comply with this using these features. Right to data portability. Basically, we needed to make this 360-degree view of all the personal information that you got in your system, all the consents that you got in your system. So, okay, I got this data from this person. What can I do with this? What has he or she consented to? If I try to do something that this is all represented by policies, if I try to do something that goes beyond that, accidentally or not, then you get a warning, you get a restriction, you get this sort of thing. This was basically what we wanted to do with WhiteRabbit. So, what we proposed actually was to make this sort of personal profile manager as an integration hub of all the data sources in a company, institution, whatever you want to call it. And in here, when all this is integrated, keep track of all this information. Keep track of the personal data that we have. Keep track of the permissions that we have been granted to, with, and basically be able to know what we can do, what we cannot do. And providing these services, eventually the user needs to be on control. So through a dashboard, we show each person that we have information. This is what we know for you. This is how you can control it. You can delete it. You can remove your permission that you give us. And also in case of audits, in case of reports that need to be done, also be able to generate this fast. And this was basically what we proposed as a solution. So ultimately, WhiteRabbit was mainly, it wasn't a development project, it was just an innovation. So we needed to do a market analysis, IPR and patents that we very much did, and piloting. So basically we took this slice of technology that we developed with Smart Society, and we piloted in a couple of institutions to get some sort of early feedback of the systems, of how it was used, and all this sort of thing. We have we did about 3 of that, but the most successful one, the first direct application of our privacy by design knowledge integration technology was the Digital University at Trento project or initiative, let's call it. So, even before we were involved, the Digital University Initiative wanted to take all these diverse data sets from different departments, from different offices, from payments, for lessons, for exams, all these sort of things, and put it together so professors, academics, and everyone can use it for the correct running of the university, but also eventually for secondary purposes, depending on what you can do and what you cannot do with that information. And so we went here with WhiteRabbit also to try to represent all this data and what you can do with it. And we got a version up on September of 2016, and eventually this integration method, they also at the university built a web page to have access to this information. We had information about all the professors, we have information about all the different lessons, the papers published, everything here integrated using our systems, and it becomes actually, instead of the main web page that the University of Trento had for showing this information, this data source, this integrated data source that we have in this model actually becomes the main version being used in the university in May of 2018. So how do we do it? How we integrate these things? Basically, we represent everything as a knowledge graph in which each person, each paper, each office, it's an entity with different attributes or little characteristics that have a name and a value, and we link this between each other. So we do this massive University of Trento graph where we have all the professors, we have the papers, everything interconnected. So you are able to, when you bring in a different data set, you are able to figure out where this piece of the puzzle fits, and you're able to avoid repeating information. You are able to handle when there's contradictory information. All of this also by keeping track of the original consent and things that you can do with this piece of information. I'm sorry. This is an example of how it looks right now. So you have all these different types of entities you can search, and you can have access to all this information that is integrated using our system. Finally, and the final step that we're going to cover in this talk, we have from WhiteRabbit to WeNet, which is actually, it's also from Smart Society to WeNet. So WeNet, we're going to speak about that, but we started from the ideas that started in smart society, the experiences from WhiteRabbit and Digital University, and while continuing research, while all this was happening, we also continued researching the broader topic of diversity, which led us to the WeNet project, which is what is sponsoring this talk right now. So we have the WeNet project, which is a very big project of 4 years, big budget. We have the coordination University of Trento, which is us basically in the Noida group. And we want to do what we started in Smart Society, we want to deliver it now, which is an online platform that will empower machine-mediated diversity-aware people interaction. So we are more not speaking so much as we did in Smart Society of developing a particular type of system with these characteristics. We're actually thinking of the people now. What is this online platform going to allow people to do? We have a pretty big consortium with 2 types of partners, the ones that provide the research and technology and the ones that will be pilot locations, more about this soon. And we go back to the original objective, which is an online platform which will empower machine-mediated diversity-aware people interactions. This is what we want to do. Sorry, there we go. More in detail. Scientific foundations, methodology, algorithm, empowering machine-mediated diversity-aware people interactions. So we're going to take what we and other partners are also part of the consortium. Some of them are the same as Smart Society, some of them aren't. And we're going to take these foundations, these methodologies, we're going to evolve them and apply them directly. We want to develop this into this platform that we keep speaking about. And this we're going to run into what we're going to call Smart University Pilot Trials in 18 different universities, with a goal of reaching by the end of the project 10,000 participants. Community building, we want, once the project is over, we also want to leave behind a community that is able to use this platform or similar tools that are done with the results of the project and keep using it. And of course, we always need to take, when we're dealing with personal necessity information, we also need to take care of having a clear ethical guidance and for technology development and for interaction with all the participants, because we're going to get their data for this purpose. Okay, pilots, as I explained, we're going to run this in a lot of places. We're going to get a lot of feedback, generate data sets that can be also used for research. We want to get to 10,000 people. We'll run from next year. We have already started some pre-pilots to test the technology and to solve minor issues. So we are in good shape for this. What we are providing specifically from the Noida Group and University of Trento for all this, it's what we call the iLog app. Basically, this is an app that you download into your phone, and it helps you collect data, sensor data, and user annotations at time diary. So this can be applied in in a wide range of situations. So, for example, traffic, you get GPS readings every time to try to figure out what is the correct direction, where are people going, and then do data machine learning operations to try to learn about this. Then we have direct input from the users that this is used along with the sensor information, for more accuracy. All of this information that we are taking, it's to capture the diversity and to try to get again to that system of the girl going to the hospital and scheduling and optimizing each of the steps when people need to interact between each other. We have all the information. And also we have a different types of pilots. We've done it with traffic, like I told you. We're also running it as a pre-pilot with about food intake, healthy food. They're also in the plans for the healthcare section, also for pollution measuring. So there's a lot of, this app is very configurable, so it can be used in several situations. and eventually we want to provide services through the app and through the data collected by the app. This is more or less how it looks. This is when you get questions. You get to choose when you, for example, make a trip from Trento and Milan. The app will ask you, okay, we detected that you did this trip. Which is the how did you do it? Pinpoint the map where you change transportation map. If we get all this information, then we are able to learn and be closer to provide services like the one I explained before. So are we closer to managing the diversity? So probably yes. What we want to do in this project and was also something that we envisioned before, it's to try to use actually the computer to have this person be able to communicate with these groups of persons with the computer and the internet, not only providing information or sensors or whatever you normally find online, but also translating for you, and I'm meaning this not in the sense of only language, but translating you, factoring away the bad diversity that makes communication with people that are very different to you difficult, and making use of the good diversity, which is people that have different competences to you. So if you are not able to solve a problem, even with the help of the internet or an app, then these persons can help you solve this sort of problem. So hopefully, by this is of course not a final architecture, but applying this model of interaction, of having people interacting with people through the machines, and also with the machines and data sets putting their own contribution into the whole interaction, we are able to get much closer to what we need to do. So as a summary, this is more or less the roadmap. We started from Smart Society, then we branched a little into WhiteRabbit and Digital University. We finally get WeNet, and who knows where we'll go next. Okay, I think this is all for me. This is the information about the project and about me. I thank you very much for your time.